Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending upon whether you're listening to The Warrior Live or The Warrior in Demand. I am legendary sports radio icon The Warrior, once again making another foray into the sports talk radio realm. It's not at a 1,000-watt radio station in Killeen, Texas, at KTM, actually out of Temple, Texas, 1400. And it's not at the 100,000-watt mega station in Austin, Texas, KJFK 98.9 on the FM dial. Anyway, it's back in the blog talk format. I've had opportunities to do this. I had a brief foray into it back in 2013 and 2014. I had the opportunity to meet a lot of people. In 2014, I was really enjoying what I was doing. I was an internet manager in an unnamed company back in Killeen, Texas, and that's where it all began to slide. I won't get into it because I've repatched some of those relationships, but I lost a job and I lost a lot of confidence. I tried some other places, and then my father died. And this is just for the people who are wondering what happened to the Warrior and where he's been. You may have heard me from time to time on Sirius Satellite Radio or your local stations. I used to be on Mad Dog Radio quite a bit until 2014 when I caught Mad Dog stating some things about why African Americans weren't employed at that station. I did feel a little bit good because within 2 months after that, Stephen A. Smith was hired at Mad Dog Radio. So I feel like I broke a little bit of that barrier there. But it led me to a ban from that station, and then subsequently the next year my father died, and it sent me into depression. And the only thing I had was the Golden State Warriors and the Oakland A's. That led to an argument when one of the guys on NBA radio, Frank Isola, not him because I love Frank. Mitch Lawrence had made some comments in reference to it's time for me to grow up, and this was just after my father had died, and I was stating how much it meant to me for the Warriors to win. And I let him know what it was like. I tried to get at him. I tried to find out where he was. I posted some negative things, very immature on my part, but it led me to being banned there as well. I love the sport. I love talking about sports. I love being a part of sports. I love my brief time in the Western Professional Hockey League. Well, even though I was only there a year and a half, it led me to an opportunity for more opportunities. I went up to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I then took some time on KTM 1400, who was nice enough to let me back on in 2007. And then I've just been kind of playing at this ever since. But the reason why the Warrior's back it's the same reason why I didn't come back before. I had opportunities. I had a chance after the Stampede folded to go to El Paso, Texas to work for the El Paso Buzzards. I had a chance to work in Asheville, in the Carolinas. I had that opportunity with Jeff Brubaker. That didn't work out. It didn't come to fruition. I spoke to David Holt about going to Bloomington. A lot of talks, but at the end of the day, I want to admit something. The Warrior was afraid to go back. I was afraid of failure. At least in Central Texas, I had a fallback. The death of my father, the subsequent getting in a fight on the showroom floor with the salesman who had laid his hands on me, and instead of using words, I used my fists, and it didn't work out. Well, it didn't work out for him either. We both got fired. I may have won the fight, but it was a 2-year battle to get out of the funk that had set me in. Now I'm back. And I want to talk about something that's really affected me. My fear of failure and depression since the death of my father. There's a lot of things that I could have done, a lot of places that I could have been, a lot of ways that I could have reacted. I use Twitter as my own personal battlefield. Those of you who know me as Warrior Sports, I've gotten into a lot of fights. I always like to say I've been banned in more places than the Bible and more hated than Jesus. But I'm fighting back through this. I don't find the need to have to stick up for Donald Trump at every turn. I don't find the need anymore to attack those who don't have the same values that I have. I need to be a better person. And part of being a better person was coming back and doing this show and look at the positive things in life. Because I never was one of those guys who dwelled on the negative. Even when I was the most read internet columnist hockey columnist in the history of the internet while I was working for In the Crease magazine or ProHockeyNews.com. I always kind of was a little bit out there. I wasn't a shock jock, but I didn't shock anybody by anything I said. It's one thing to be honest, and it's another thing to be brutally honest. There's no need to be brutally honest. There's no need to say things just to irritate people. And while it's fun at some point, sometimes it leads to some hurt feelings. And one of my points is that when I was in the Western Pro, I never shied away from going into a building. I never shied away from being in the players area, because if I said something, I wanted to give that player a chance to defend himself, to come out and tell me what he thought of me, and we could talk it out, and we didn't maybe not have parted friends, but at least we parted in a way that was less than adversarial, and I think we gained each other's respect by the way that we did things. Now, it's no secret that I've had several run-ins with talk show hosts, both at the local and the national level. But one of the things that I won't do on this show is I won't say something and attack somebody and then not be there to let that person defend himself. I'm going to do a lot of interviews. Today my show is going to focus on the Western Conference of the National Basketball Association, mainly my love for the Golden State Warriors. We'll do some Oakland, but then I'm going to do some national stuff. We'll do some Raiders, we'll do some A's and some Giants as well. Well, we'll get into my newfound passion, and that's for MMA. And those of you who've listened to my shows in the past or have talked to me know that I love to go to these small venues. It's these venues where I can discover a young fighter like Anthony Burchek, who went on to the UFC. It's these venues that I can find a young Josh Emmett in his second professional fight, and to be speaking about him now for almost 7 years. 7 years I've been speaking about Josh Emmett, and he makes his comeback. He's not undefeated in the UFC, but he should be. Lost a controversial split decision for his first loss, and then was beaten by illegal knee to the head by Little Heathen Jeremy Stevens. These are the things that drive me in my passion when I see a guy like Josh, broken in orbital bones, coming back. Well, I'm coming back too. Didn't break a leg, though I did break my tib and my fib, my one-time rollerblading career, and fractured and dislocated both sides of my ankle. I was a busted person for a couple of years. 2015, fighting depression, moving from job to job, unable to concentrate, even in the area of sports. So I'm back. I just want to let you know what happened to me. So hopefully I can not only, I'm not going to make the world a better place, but maybe this show and getting back into talking to people about sports and focusing on the positive while not ignoring the negative, I can get back to being that legendary sports radio icon that I claim to be. I can get back to being that I am legendary sports radio icon, the Warrior, 64 times Salesman of the Month, 12 times Salesman of the Year, 11 times Master Certified, more rings than LeBron and Michael. I'm the straw that stirs the drink. You may try to stir it, but you can only stir it back. Today's the day, this is the place, and I'm the guy who walk the walk, talk the talk, and I don't want to hear any said, she said BS. Looking for somebody to move the needle? I am the needle. Don't fear the thunder, don't fear the lightning, for I am the storm. Maybe I can get back to that. Maybe I just don't have to say it. Maybe I can convince myself that's who I am. So I'm back. It's the last time we'll talk about the demons that have possessed the Warrior. 9 years no alcohol. 15 years non-smoking. 1983 since I smoked marijuana. It's hard. It's hard when the only people that I have to depend on are you. I appreciate those of you who have come into my life and helped me at a point when I didn't even know what I was going to do, whether I didn't care whether I lived or died, estranged from my family. I'm back. I am legendary sports radio icon, the Warrior. I have beat depression, and I'm back. And that's the last we'll ever talk about it. But if you want to know what happened to the Warrior, why the Warrior's the Warrior, what happened on his Twitter, how come he became so angry, it's because the Warrior was fighting. but he wasn't fighting an enemy that he could see. He was fighting the things that go on in my mind. I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get into an interview with a good friend of mine, Daryl the Guru Johnson, out of 95.7, The Game in San Francisco. We're going to look at the Golden State Warriors. We're going to look at their playoff chances, and then we'll talk to John Medani out of ESPN, the network, a good friend of mine out of Austin, Texas, who's now with the network, and who will look at the Rockets' chances, and then we'll open up the lines for your phone calls. And like I said, we're going to put this first segment behind us, but I wanted everybody to see that or hear what happens and what goes on in the mind of the Warrior. I am legendary sports radio icon, the Warrior. I'm not all the way back, but I'm coming back. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, Daryl the Guru Johnson, 95.7 The Game.